6217. Notice that there is a total of 17 Arabic letters in the names of the contact prayers. This is the exact same number as the total number of units for those same prayers. Also, since the number 3362 is the total geometrical value for the 17 Arabic letters for 17 units of the contact prayers which are observed 5 times a day, we add these numbers together. 3362 plus 17 letters plus 17 units plus 5 times equals 3401 equals 19x 179. Note again that the digits of this multiplier 179 add up to 17. 1 plus 7 plus 9 equals 17. Let us now look at the Arabic letters in the names of the prayers. They consist of 13 different letters, counting Aleph and Hamza as different letters, although they have the same geometrical values. 62 direct contact Arabic letter geometrical value FEH 80 JEM 3 Ra 200 ZZA 900 Hay 5 and 70 Sard 90 MEM 40 GHAIN 1000 Bay 2 Shin 300 Aleph 1 Hamza 1 total 2692. If we add this geometrical total, the number of times we pray each day 5 and the number of chapters we recite during the prayer 1, we get 2692 plus 5 times plus 1 chapter 1 equals 2698 equals 19x 142. Contact prayers 63. This number, 2698, is not only a multiple of 19, but it is also the number of times that the word God Allah is mentioned in the Quran. It is interesting to point out on a personal note that this discovery was made on September 19, 1991. This is September 19, 1991 in American notation. Thus, the date is 19 times 483,789. This was a personal assurance for the author. From all of these findings we can see that God designed the times of the prayers, the number of units in each prayer, even the names of the prayers in a very specific way. Unfortunately, human beings have a tendency to make things more complex and difficult than God does. By now you may very well be wondering what other changes men have introduced into the contact prayers. We will discuss the original form of the contact prayers and the innovations in the next chapter. 64 Direct contact. 8 Contact prayers continued. There are a number of things about the way that the contact prayers are usually practiced that we need to examine. To start with, in the last chapter we examined the human tendency to make things harder for ourselves, and how that has affected the number of times traditional sectarian Muslims pray. Ablution. Another example of this tendency is in the way that men have complicated the ablution we must make before praying. As we saw in chapter 6, God tells us exactly how to make ablution. Here it is again. O you who believe, when you observe the contact prayers salat, you shall, 1. Wash your faces. 2. Wash your arms to the elbows. 65-66 Direct contact. 3. Wipe your heads, and 4. Wash your feet to the ankles. If you were unclean due to sexual orgasm, you shall bathe. If you are ill, or traveling, or had any digestive excretion, urinary, fecal, or gas, or had sexual contact with a woman, and you cannot find water, you shall observe the dry ablution tayammum by touching clean dry soil, then rubbing your faces and hands. God does not wish to make the religion difficult for you. He wishes to cleanse you and to perfect His blessing upon you, that you may be appreciative. Quran. The Final Testament 5:6. You can see that God makes the ablution very easy. Men have added additional steps not required by God, and they have added all sorts of rules and regulations about how many times you wash, whether you wash your arms from the elbow first and go to the wrist, or whether you wash from the wrist first. Contact prayers continued. 67 and go to the elbow, etc. There are books written on how to do the ablution. God tells us 4 simple steps, but men write volumes. Combining prayers. We have seen in the last chapter that God tells us to pray at specific times. This means that we cannot combine the prayers and pray them all at one time. They must be said within the period of time allotted to them. When we realize that the contact prayers are like meals for the soul, the reasoning behind this becomes more obvious. If you miss lunch, do you eat 2 lunches the next day? Or do you eat both lunch and dinner at dinner time? The fact that the prayer times are interspersed throughout the day helps us to be aware of and commemorate God through the entire day. Grouping the prayers all together defeats that purpose. God's mercy encompasses everything. He tells us exactly how we need to practice our religion. For example, He tells us what to do if we miss a day of fasting during Ramadan. Specific days are designated for fasting. 68 Direct contact. If one is ill or traveling, an equal number of other days may be substituted. Those who can fast, but with great difficulty, may substitute feeding one poor person for each day of breaking the fast. If one volunteers more righteous works, it is better. But fasting is the best for you, if you only knew. Quran. The Final Testament 2. 184. God tells us how to replace a day of fasting that we miss. However, God does not tell us how to make up a prayer that we have missed. Once it is gone, it is gone. Tone of the prayer. Traditional Muslims pray much of the prayer silently. As indicated in chapter 6, God tells us, "You shall not utter your contact prayers salat too loudly, nor secretly." Contact prayers continued 69. Use a moderate tone. Quran. The Final Testament 17. 110. If you think about it, this makes sense. There may be new Muslims in the group who need help learning the prayers. Or, especially in the early days of Islam, someone else might be listening who might get the message just by hearing the prayers recited. In non-Arabic speaking countries, of course, this is not the case. But one of the beautiful things about the prayers is that they are the same wherever in the world you join a congregation to pray them. So while it is unlikely that an American will get the message by hearing the salat being performed, in the Muslim world this is a very real possibility. At the same time, an American Muslim will be perfectly comfortable praying with others even where only Arabic is spoken. Wherever you are, even when you are praying alone, saying the prayers in a moderate tone helps you